Ahoy, listeners. This is Deborah Ross. I'm publisher of KidsOutandAbout.com for Smart Kids on Demand. I am here today with a blast from your past. Doug and Gary, the Happy Pirates, Rochester's primary kids entertainers from your past, probably, about 1989 to, guys, right? 1993 was the big heyday?
Yep, right around there.
Right. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here, as are so many of the parents who are listening today, because one of the things parents really want to do is share the things that they love with their kids. And here we have this really unique opportunity, right? Because your guys' music spans these generations and really helps connect the things parents loved as a kid to the things their kids are loving right now.
Yeah, 25 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
25 years.
Long time.
So let's, right up front, let our listeners know that one of the primary reasons we are interviewing you guys today is because you have a big upcoming 25th anniversary reunion concert that both parents and kids here in Rochester will love. So can you tell us when is that and where is it?
Well, it's going to be Saturday, December 13th at 2 p.m. at Nazareth College, Nazareth Arts Center, they call it. And it's where Doug and I shot our original video back in the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we wanted to go back kind of home and do a concert at a place we're very familiar with.
In fact, I know that more tickets were sold faster there for this season than for any, did you know that? Than for any other show.
Oh, that's good to know.
There at Nazareth.
See, I told you if you bought a couple, it'd work.
I did the best I could.
Gary.
Sorry.
No, but that's primarily because you've got this incredible sort of excitement and staying power, I think, among today's parents who listened to you when they were kids.
Well, it's funny. There are times when people come up to you that they listened to it when they were young, and now they have kids. And since I still perform and do shows, I'll have people come up and say, hey, you know, my kids are little now, and I want to give them the same experience that I had.
Yeah, and people will come up to me when I'm just out and about in town, and they'll recognize me and
They'll
they go,
say,
when are
"Doug!"
you and Gary getting back together again? We miss you guys.
So
And
I think, later on
cool.
a little bit in the interview, we're going to answer some of those secret questions that everybody's been, collaring you with on the street. But, I know you guys are modest guys, but let's just go through some of the lovely accolades that you guys have acquired over the years. Let's see. You guys were featured regularly on Nick Jr. From your 1991 video, right? The Adventures of Doug and Gary, the Happy Pirates.
Right.
You were at the White House, right, in 1992. And what was it like playing the White House, guys?
That was great.
Let's
cool.
remind our listeners who was president at the time. Who was
George
president?
Bush Sr.
George Bush Senior. Was
And
president.
then the second time was Bill Clinton's first year.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was outside, right?
Yeah.
Lots of
Right in the Rose
crazy
Garden.
kids.
Oh, yeah.
There was, I always say, anybody that ever asked me, there were so many clowns there. And it wasn't just us.
I mean, not real dressed up clowns.
there were
Not
clowns.
clowns as in
There's like
government
400
officials.
clowns at this Easter egg roll is what we were there for.
Right,
right.
So it was in April, but it was just like unbelievable. There were even, like Doug said, Secret Service guys dressed up as clowns. I mean, you've never seen.
It was amazing.
After a while, the jokes got kind of old, let's put it that way.
Yeah. And we got to do the weather with Willard Scott.
with Willard Scott.
on
was
Good
there.
Morning
Wow.
America. That was a highlight.
Fun.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great experience, and everybody had a good time.
Yeah.
So we here in Rochester are so proud to be the city that you came from. I mean, you were popular all over the country, right? You played hundreds of shows. Let me see some of these, the Parents, two-time Parents Gold Choice Award winner for Best Audio Recording and Classic Audio. So first question is, was it fun? Was it fun to be so popular?
Yeah,
it
was.
Was it? Do you think it was different to be popular among kids?
Well, the weird part is, and Doug used to tell me stories all the time, is you'd be walking and a kid would just come up and hug you, and the parent would look at you like, what are you doing to my child?
They don't know who I am. We played at school, so the parents didn't always see us at first.
See.
Yeah,
So-
and they'd come running up to you and hug you, and their parents are like, why are you hugging that creepy guy? I'm not creepy, really.
And I
I'm
tell them
not.
who I was. They go, "Oh, we heard of you guys,"
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it would break the barriers.
But we
down.
tried. One thing we tried to do is we really introduced ourselves into the children's market in schools, and then we tried to do shows later where parents and families could get together as a whole, so it would be an experience for the whole family. So not only did they get to see us at school, but later on we do these shows at schools at night where the whole family could come, so they get to know who we are too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
And then the festivals like the Lilac and
Yeah.
other things followed, and
Sure.
then it was bigger gatherings with families, and it was a lot of fun.
So
Had
when
a
did
lot
you
of fun.
cut your first album? That's what we call it, right? Cutting an album?
Yeah,
Did we
I
cut
guess,
an album?
in the music
Cassette
lingo.
tapes, baby. That's what we had. Cassette
Was
tapes.
it 89?
Yeah,
Yeah, 89.
yeah.
We did I'm a Happy Pirate in 1989.
Yeah, yeah. that
Okay,
was
so
our
who
first
came
one.
up with the name Happy Pirates?
Gary's wife, Kathy, wasn't it?
Well,
The name?
Well, you said, which I couldn't even remember, that somebody at a school that we played at said you should call yourselves the Happy Pirates, right?
Right, yeah. Well, Kathy, Gary's wife, actually wrote the song. I'm a Happy Pirate.
I'm a Happy...
Because she was instrumental in all that we did with writing. But, yeah, it was, we played at his oldest daughter, Shayna, at a nursery school. That's
Who's
how it kind of
30
started.
now.
Oh, my. Right.
With their own children. But, yeah, I think it was the teachers, I think, that coined that phrase.
Well,
didn't-
when we got the gig, it was for Dad's Day at daycare. So I had to come in and do something, and I go, I'm work with Doug at a photography place. That's boring. I go, Doug, you got a guitar? I got a guitar.
we
Let's
just-
write a
I
few
said,
songs.
"Let's
We can
go
do
in."
this.
Oh, it'd be fun. I said,
Yeah.
we'll write a couple songs. We'll do, This Old Man, and we'll,
Yeah.
save
Oh,
him
no
the embarrassment of
kidding.
showing kids pictures of
Yeah.
whatever. And
So we did it, and we thought, wow, this is pretty cool. We
the
should-
kids, they had
Yeah.
a ball. The teachers were like, "Oh, you're the best we've ever had. This is great. You got to come back and play
like,
again."
really? We weren't that good.
Yes, you were.
Well,
I'm sure
back
you
then,
were.
back then, you're thinking like, oh wow, I didn't even know there's a real market for this, and it kind of just evolved into that. We started getting together on a weekly basis and writing songs. My wife would write the lyrics, and then we would work on songs together. She'd help us, and it would just kind of springboard into that
Yeah,
kind
and
of stuff.
the teachers at that school actually named us. They said, "Oh, we want Doug and Gary to come back," and Doug and Gary just stuck.
That's great. Doug and Gary, the Happy Pirates. Well, let's listen to a few clips of some of your music, and then we'll come back and we're going to answer some burning questions that parents have had for so long and maybe discuss your music a little bit more.
Well, it started to snow and it's really cold, so I put on my boots and my big warm coat. I grabbed my hat and my mittens too. The snow's piled high, so wide and new. I'm gonna grab my shovel, gonna shovel that snow, throw it over my shoulders, so away I go. Gonna clear the driveway and the sidewalk too. I'm gonna shovel till I'm finished, 'cause I really like to. Our earth is full of wondrous things like waterfalls and bubbly springs, mountain tops with snowy peaks, oceans deep and flowing creeks. But sometimes we forget to care, and we leave garbage everywhere, like soda cans and paper too. Let's wake up now, there's work to do. Because I like the sky a little brighter, the clouds a little whiter, the ocean true blue. I like the air a little cleaner, the grass a little greener. Now wouldn't you too? Parents have a language I have learned to understand. Sometimes the words they use mean many things. But when I ask for something like toys or treats or gum, here is the response my question brings. I'm not sure means probably not, but maybe can usually mean yes. Thinking positive sometimes helps, but then again it's just a guess.
Mom, can we go out for ice cream?
Maybe.
Parents are confusing though they don't try to be. But here's a clue for when they talk in code. We'll see, almost always does mean yes, but no always simply means no. In a second means a minute or two. Yes means if you don't whine. Perhaps means yes if you are good, and not now means some other time.
Dad, could you buy me a new bike?
Okay, we are back. So I want to talk about the music just a little bit before we get into the hard questions.
Okay.
What makes a good kid song?
I think with us, you have to be a kid, kind of. I mean, we're older, and I mean, we're older now, but back then when we wrote, we just never grew up.
I see.
Plus, one thing that really stuck in my mind was a lot of the children's songs were very sing-songy. They were very folksy, and there's nothing wrong with that style of music if you're into it. But I wanted to have a style that was a little more entertaining,
Right.
a style that was a little more fun and engaging with the parents, because what I found is parents would always say, those songs drive me crazy. I listen to
Yeah.
that
Right.
song
It was
40
horrible.
times
Yeah.
over and over, and just, I can't stand it. So we tried to write things that parents would like, too, that we would like.
Right.
Musically, you know, so we had a vast variety of musical backgrounds that we liked.
Right.
So we pulled off from country to rock to jazz to blues
Everything.
to
Yeah,
everything.
we drew from all of our likes and dislikes of music.
Sure.
And
gotcha.
we incorporated that in, and then we kind of wrote to that.
And we thought, why not? You know, get away from
yeah.
the sing-songy, this old man style song to something that's a little more complex.
Absolutely.
Well, plus there were a lot of artists, not a lot, but there were a number of artists out at the time. And they kind of all sounded the same, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be standout because if we were going to try and, market the music, which is not what it's all about, but you still have to, where the rubber meets the road. But
Yeah.
so we had to write something different than what everybody else was to be noticed and to be,
And we called
accepted.
it, I always called it the Raffi Road, because Raffi was just getting big at the time.
Right, yeah.
And everybody was patterning themselves after Raffi.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to do something a little different. It's
Right.
not that, and I enjoyed Raffi very much. I used to bring other musics home for my children to listen to, so we could, when we used them as our springboard to try anything off.
Right, yeah.
So do me a favor. So for people who aren't into Raffi anymore, can you say Raffi was like this, whereas we were like this?
To a point, I think, yeah. That's
Well,
true.
how
Yeah.
was Raffi?
Well,
What was he
Raffi
like?
was more traditional, more folksy, more take a traditional song and turn it into an iconic song.
Yeah.
You know, he was signed with Disney. He was really big. They were pushing his concert.
Yeah.
Disney was a young network at the time, and they were really starting to blossom, and they really utilized his skills. So we wanted to try to make it a little bit different. I don't want to say rock and rollers, but,
No,
just a little bit more out there.
He had a certain type of genre, I guess, that you could say that his style and what he did, where we would have a bluegrass song, we'd have a rock song, we'd have a country song, we'd have a reggae song, so we kind of mixed it up a lot more than the typical artists were doing at the time.
So what do you think so do you have a favorite song, each of you? And do you think your audience what are your audience's favorite songs, do you think, over the years?
Well, it's kind of blossomed into what song worked the best motion-wise or lyric-wise and interaction-wise with kids. And there's songs that we really like that don't interact well with kids, as
Right,
far
yeah.
as like hand motions and jumping around and hopping around. But then
Right.
there's certain songs that I really like that I'm very proud of. One of the albums I'm proud of that really was near the end was our bedtime one,
Yeah.
which started out really fast, and the whole goal was to end it really slow.
Slow, so the
they
kids-
could put it on a bedtime, be revved up at first, and then
Bring 'em
just
down.
kind of quiet it down.
Very nice. That is what I've heard, that parents have used that. That's exactly how they use that album.
Yeah, I think the quintessential Doug and Gary song that probably the most requested, wouldn't you say, would be Popcorn?
Popcorn, pirate,
Yeah, Pirate, yeah.
surfing, bath time, zoo. Simple songs
Right.
that everybody has a pretty
Yeah.
similar type. You hear it now. There's like a bunch of popcorn songs, but we always say we were one of the first.
Yeah,
Yep.
we did.
And, kids experience bath time pretty similarly, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm,
every kid has to take a bath. So
Unfortunately.
you,
In great
You're a
protest.
boy, aren't you, Gary?
In great protest, I
Yeah.
did, right?
Exactly. All right. Time for the tough questions.
Okay.
The
Okay.
one that's been on everybody's mind since 1993. Why'd you guys break up?
It was my fault.
It was Gary's fault. Yeah.
And you agree?
No. No, in a bigger picture, it was kind of more my fault than, if you want to say fault.
Huh.
I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to get my teaching certification, and I wanted to, get my education done. I felt that was important, and I thought that people especially would maybe be more understanding to that, because it's a good reason, as a embodiment to kids saying that, well, he's stopping, but he's stopping because he wants to further his education. It was something personally that I really felt I needed to do. And it had nothing to do with Gary. It had nothing to do,
No, but one of the things too is the first 3 years we averaged over 370 shows a year.
A year.
How is that possible?
It's
There's only
possible.
365 days in a
Right.
year.
We did it.
Yeah,
We did it.
I mean, there could be days where you're doing 3-4 shows a day.
Yeah,
You know, we do like little tours, library tours, where we end up for like 2 weeks in Albany area. You know, Long Island, we end up there for 2 weeks, and every day we do a show or 2 shows or 3 shows.
Yeah, like mini tours. You know.
And I think what happened is we really felt like we were just tired, and we felt like there was change to be needed. There was, you know, Doug was entering into a new relationship.
Well, and you had 4 kids at the time.
I had 4
I'm thinking,
kids,
at
and it
that
was
point?
I just think it was just time for us to move.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but the sales kept coming, right? The sales of the albums kept happening, and
They had
the videos.
in the demand to play. So
Yeah.
it was like, you know, stopping kind of at the apex of what we were kind of doing. So,
Yeah.
you know, for me, it was the other on the flip side was I really wanted to be sensitive that Gary and I were separating, and a lot of these kids came from single parent homes. And I'm looking at the aspect that, you know, now I'm going to disrupt a relationship between Gary and I when we were kind of a duo, you know. So I went through like 3 or 4 months of soul searching and really trying to make a decision as to what would be the right thing to do and how to do it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. But now you're back.
We're back.
And let's just say how folks can still get the videos and still get the audios. Where can they go?
Well, the videos you can't get.
Yeah,
You
videos.
can't,
No.
Don't you sell them still?
No.
Oh.
We kind of had. I don't want to say legalities, but you have other people involved.
Well,
so
there's a
they're
business aspect in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not marketed or they're not
They're not
produced anymore.
marketed.
Yeah.
So in a way, that's good. So if you want to see Doug and Gary and you haven't seen them in a long time, people have VHSs still, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are some clips on YouTube, which you can check out. But they want to come to the show and experience exactly what we want to try to keep the show as close to what we did. We don't want to do something that's because when you go to a concert, Deb,
Yes.
and you see somebody that you like, what do you want to hear?
You want to hear the oldies,
I
man. You
do
want to
want to
hear
hear the oldies.
you want to hear
you
what's
can't
good.
leave without
Isn't it-
hearing. Right.
Isn't it the worst when they go, now I'm going to play a new song off my new record?
well,
And you're
it's like, we don't know that.
So I suspect you guys are playing popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we can't say.
But let's just say
It's
the majority of the
secret.
songs we play, I'd say 99.9% are going to be ones they know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they can engage
And we'll
with
probably
the
do
children.
the same
That's
shtick
great.
so that the parents that enjoyed us when they were little can share that same experience with their children. now.
And we're going to
Great.
throw some fun stuff in there, too.
Great.
You know,
So
some
it's a
different
very
things.
interactive show, like it always has
yes.
been, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
If parents want to prepare their kids, if they don't, for some reason, have the CDs yet, where can they get those?
Well, you can go on to happypirates.com. We're going to put out a box set, which is 25 years of Doug and Gary's hits, so to speak. There are over 75 songs recorded.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
great.
recorded it.
We've done a lot of recording
lot
over
of
the
good
years.
body of work, yeah.
I've done some without Doug after he left, you know, because I keep doing it and I do shows periodically. So I do some of the songs that are still very popular, but to do them with Doug is a totally different feel for me, too.
Of course it
So,
would be. Right. So thehappypirates.com, because I love to prepare my kids for a concert, right?
Yeah.
In
Oh,
the
yeah.
weeks before that, we listen a lot because there's nothing like the spark in a kid's eye when they suddenly hear something that they recognize.
yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that look
Oh,
on
yeah.
my
They
kids'
could also
faces.
catch some clips on YouTube. We have a couple on there so
Oh.
they can see them, too. So they can see
YouTube.com.
what we look like.
The Happy Pirates, or
Yeah.
search for Doug and Gary, The
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah,
Pirates
yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. So
Absolutely.
that's cool,
Great
too.
stuff. So let's just recap. To get tickets for the December 13th, 2014 show, which is at 2 p.m. at Nazareth Arts Center, you can go to artcenter.naz.edu or just thehappypirates.com, right?
Yeah,
Right,
and get
yep.
the tickets. There's only so many tickets for sale, so you want to catch them. Make sure you get them so you got your seats
Yeah,
saved.
it's a smaller venue, so it's not going to hold 4,000 or 5,000 people. It's a very
Got it.
intimate. We wanted it to be like a family.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
Oh, I'm pumped.
I'm
yeah.
getting there.
Yeah.
You know, you've been so long in the planning of this,
Right,
and now
right.
it's getting closer.
I know.
So we're like, you know, we'll get excited.
I'm always excited to play, so
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So
Great. Well,
I'm ready to go.
congrats
Yeah.
so much on your reunion, guys. Looking forward to that concert December 13th at Nazareth Arts Center. Thanks for being here with us on Smart Kids on Demand.
Thanks, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.